I got about 30 bow hunts with this thing, so let's talk about it, the XOP Cold World. So this is the XOP Cold World, and I gotta say I really like the overall specs of this as a can hunt the rut, can hunt an after work sit. Because it's that 7.5 pound, like it does a good job of flexing as far as a mobile hunt that's maybe only an hour or two, or if you're going to take it in and this is going to be your rut soldier, going to be with you day in, day out. Because of its dimensions, it hunts really well. And I also like the way it hangs at that 7.5 mark. Anybody coming from say a 1.0 or even maybe the old regular cast aluminum stands, you're gonna notice a huge difference when you get this bad boy in your hands. And at 7 pounds, when you extend it and get it around the tree, you're like, oh wow, this is where I noticed the major weight savings.
One thing I want to talk about is the texture on the tree stand itself. To me, it's almost like a grip tape if you've ever held a skateboard or maybe added some grip tape to a firearm. I did add some of this silencing type tape where I wanted my sticks not to make as much noise when I'm in transport. But I really like this because it grips well during the day. I should note that the newer models have tie-off points to add gear as far as a strap is concerned. I do have the bow holder in here. I actually really like this bow holder. I had a prime inline in there, and so it's a little bit wider limbs, does really well. And I like how this thing tucks away, very minimalist. The seat post is a touch shorter than some other models. I didn't notice it. I'm 6'1", and I stand also a majority of my hunts during October. Now the rut, I do tend to sit just to conserve energy or whatever. But I never felt like the seat post thing was a big deal, being 6'1" or whatever. In looking at boot room, this is a 0.75. The Cold World is a touch wider. I'll get a tape measure on here for you guys. The 0.75 is a touch longer, so sitting room, like you may notice it that way. I felt for standing, you get a little bit wider stance, if you will. Also note the nose of the 0.75 comes in versus the Cold World kind of comes all the way to the end. Okay, we're gonna call that 16 and a half, or no, let's call that 17 and a half, so an inch wider. So I'm looking here at like the max width area of the 0.75, and you're looking at 7.5 inches. Max width of the Cold World closer to, let's call it 9.5 inches. And that's just where it's the widest at the top there. Because of the nose effect of the 0.75, I give it slight odd as far as surface area is concerned to the Cold World. I'm gonna measure from just in front of the post guy there, and you're looking at 21.5, and this guy is more like 21.5 inch. And that's just like huntable room, I feel like.
You got the knob system here on the bottom side that essentially threads into the, I don't know, this gap. So after every hunt, to get to transport mode, you do have to spend what I'll call 5 seconds to get this thing into transport mode. That's the only knock, but it is a good system. This frame is solid. Boom, climbing stick. So, something I found out when running this, I do like to add some tape here for silencing, but XOP has some grooves that accept the climbing sticks into the post, making packing on the X2s in particular very nice. So like I said, I have a lot of hunts under my belt with the X2s in the Cold World. And I really like the system. I really like the two-step ability. I like the Cold World as far as a overall hunting stand. It can mobile hunt well, it's light. It does a lot of things really well. And so if a guy was looking to have one setup, I think it gets the nod in my book, if you will, if he's a stand hunter. If you're into the saddle thing, I'm not as well versed in that world, but for a mobile climbing system, I think XOP really stepped up the game. Quick side note, check out these bad boys. Little rubberized camp shoe out here in the wet rain, did phenomenal. These are solid, $35 Amazon special.